Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It is Pinky here today reviewing a new palette. Yes, it is from Dior and it is the Diorshow collection. And they put out 5 palettes and I end up picking up 2. The taupe and this beauty, which is the Rose Show, I think it is. Oh, 857 Rose Organza. There we go. Yes, so here you go. And here you go. This is what they look like. This is it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. These are $71 a piece. I will just say straight up that I do get a discount on these because thanks to a friend. So they're a little bit cheaper for me. At 71, and I only bring this up because at $71, I really don't care for the packaging. I'm going to be honest with you. You hear that? It's just plastic. You could tell it's that hollow, thin plastic. I don't know. I guess when I think of Dior, I think of more luxury, and this just is, the casing isn't as luxury as I would like. We'll just put it that way. I was kind of surprised by that when I opened it. I was like, oh. But, you know, it's what's inside. The outside is just, but some people may be disappointed with that. I was a little bit like, oh, and I moved on because that's just what I do, because it's really not that big of a deal. So you get a mirror and you get the little tools here. I removed it because I don't use those. I like to use my own brushes. And here we go. You get these 5 shades and there are basically like 2 mattes and then 3 special shades. Though I will say that this one leans more towards a matte, and so there's basically 2 special shades. Yeah, so this is Rose. Now, it's interesting because I'm actually wearing it today, and I wore this quite a bit. I took both of these palettes to me while I was traveling. I'm doing a 50-state project, and I went to Indiana, and I've been to Chicago before. I love Chicago. So I stayed in Chicago a little longer with some friends, and I took these quints with me, this and the taupe, and I wore them the whole time. It was just easy, put it in my purse, and there you go. So I'm wearing it today, and it's very, very light, which you can see. You could try to build these up, but as you can see, they're just very, very light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the ones that are more mattes. So this is the top one. You can't even really see it. Like this one right here. Let's give it a good dose and see what happens. You really can't see it there, unfortunately. So then we will go to this middle one, and we will do that underneath. There you go. And then of course this one, which is the darkest of the group. So there you go. This is what it looks like. And have my little wipey here, and then we'll go with the more special shades, which are these corners. So this one and then this one. There we go. So this is the lightest, and this is the second lightest. And it's I do want to point out, that's this one right here, that I'm sure you can see I'm very fair. So I'm exceptionally fair. These aren't showing on me so well, so I'll let you see them up close and personal. Yeah, they're not showing up all that well. They can be built up, but if you were as fair as I am, these aren't going to show up as well as perhaps you would like, and you can see that here. Now, normally I like to show a couple. Show a couple looks. I'll throw another one to the side that I did, but honestly, they pretty much all kind of look like this. When you blend them together, they just kind of blend seamlessly, which is fantastic. But on the eye, they don't make a huge difference from each other. They just really don't. I don't know. I can't explain it. They just blend into each other really well, which is a beautiful thing. But unfortunately, it just never made eye looks that were that drastically different, if that makes sense. It's pretty much what you see is kind of what you get. So, I'll flash a couple looks here, but, or maybe one, because they all tended to look the same, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just, oh, it just, even looking here at the swatches, they're just so light. Now, it may sound like I'm upset about that. I'm not upset about it because I actually like looks like this. I'm very much into subtle looks, especially in spring and summer. I tend to just go for that aesthetic a bit anyway. So this really works for me, but it's a very natural look. So some people may not care for that. I do feel that if you have medium and deeper skin tones, this is going to be very difficult to use, especially like this, and this one may look a little ashy. This is going to be a hard one to show up. This one's a hard one to show up even on me. I feel like if you have, you know, like somebody who has a couple shades darker than me may have better luck with this, just because those shades will show up just a little bit better than they do on my skin tone. So if you look at it, it is very much a natural palette, like exceptionally natural, and you can see that here. It just, your best bet to make it pop is to put like this color or this color on the lid, and then put one of these colors on top of it to make it pop, to add that depth on your eye, because I don't have that depth. You know, I have very fair skin. So if I can add one of these colors across the lid, these pop a little bit more because they have color underneath to adhere to pop from. With my skin tone, there's nothing to pop from. I'm just pale. So there you go. They work beautifully. They blend beautifully. They're very forgiving. Part of it is the fair, but beyond that, the formula I really like. I know some people don't care for the new formula. I actually like it. I feel like they're very beautiful and blendable and very forgiving. So it's really hard to make a mistake with these. So if you're a beginner, really easy to work with. If you have dry eyes naturally or more mature eyes, I feel like this formula is exceptionally forgiving. It is. It's not going to ride in the creases. It's not going to show the texture in the skin that much. It just leaves a beautiful finish that's really just lovely for anyone across the board. So very forgiving formula, very forgiving. I will say though that this one, this white one, it's a little bit, I don't know, it could be a little bit, it's going to be difficult for a lot of people to wear, but beyond that, just because it could be ashy, but at times it just felt like it was a little bit too powdery, so it didn't lay quite as well as some of the other ones. It goes down, but it isn't as smooth. It's more of flaky a little bit, if that makes sense. Sometimes I felt like it just looked that way on top of the other colors. It adhered, but it just kind of flaked a bit on top of the other colors. I mean, it's definitely on there. I just feel like it wasn't the smoothest application. It definitely has more of a texture. I'll put it here just to, it looks fine, but it has more of a texture to it than the other ones. So there you go. But it wasn't unworkable. It's definitely workable. It's just beautiful. I just put it on there. I doubt you could see that there was much of a difference, but it just doesn't blend in as well. So you kind of have to really work it a little bit more. But yeah. So I feel with this one that it lasted pretty long. I feel like the special shades last quite well. I will give this one a thumbs up in that sometimes with light shades like this, I have oily skin. What will happen is that the oil will come through and then it changes it to a darker color. That wasn't the case with this. It stayed this kind of white, pearly white color the whole day, which was really nice because half the time I have to struggle with the oil coming through and changing it to a different color that I didn't want. That wasn't the case. Now with the mattes, these more matte formulas, they're never matte, and that's why I'm saying why they're user friendly. They tend to be a satin matte. Now some people don't like those. I don't mind it, but that's what these are. So they're more forgiving because of that. But because they're satin matte for me, they don't last as long. So I did have fading. Now I don't tend to get a lot of fading. I always wear a base, but for some reason with these, I did find that it faded down by like 15%, and it was already really fair to begin with. So by the end of the day, it was like I wasn't wearing much makeup at all. It had kind of faded. I mean, 15, 20% is not that big of a deal, but it already was quite light to begin with. So if you have oily skin or eyes that tend to eat shadows, that may happen with you. I have oily skin. Usually it just turns darker. That wasn't the case with this. It actually faded a bit, which I've never really had happen too much. It usually just gets darker. So that's just something to take into consideration. These mattes work really well. They're extremely blendable. This one, if you are fair like me, it will not show up at all. I just want to point that out. I mean, there it is. There it is. So I use this, and if you blend it across the eye, that's what would happen. It's my eye, but slightly better. It's just like it just doesn't really show up. So I used it as eye prep because I don't really see it, except for possibly blending these out, using it for that, but these aren't really that dangerous to blend with. This one's beautiful, but again, the texture is a little bit different. These blend gorgeously, but it's easy to overblend them, which isn't a bad thing, but you really have to pack it on to get more dimension. But if you try to blend it, they really are extremely blendable, so they're gonna go sayonara a bit. So just be prepared. And this one really didn't show up on me that well. I just want to point out, if you have skin tone like me, this one's lovely, but it's very pearlescent and very quiet. It's just quiet. So yeah, so that's basically Rose Organza. So my thoughts on this. I feel that this is a very safe palette. This is for somebody who does not want anything dramatic in any way, shape, or form. This is going to be for you. If you want very simple, beautiful spring, summer colors and don't want to think about it or do too many dramatic eye looks with dimension, this is for you. Kind of a one and done or two and done. This is what it's for. It's very simplistic, very easy. If you have medium to deeper skin tones, this may be a harder sell. I can see it being definitely a harder sell. Medium, you may be able to get away with this. Medium light. For somebody like me, it was very difficult. Basically, these are the two that showed up the most, and then this one. These three I could work with. These were a little bit more difficult, so it also didn't necessarily work that great for me either. It is a lovely palette, though. It is, but just bear that in mind. You're not going to get a lot of looks out of this. It's going to be the same look over and over. So yeah, so out of the two, this one was probably my least favorite. I was the most excited about it, but actually the taupe one ended up working way better for me, but I'll be doing that in the next video. There you go. I do like it. It's just going to be those easy weekends when you want something and you're traveling and you just don't want to deal too much with makeup and you just want to do the bare minimum. This is it. So yeah, hope that makes sense. So there you go. That is my review of Diorshow Rose Organza. And until next time, have a fabulous day, my friends. Bye.